Welcome to Mindfulness. I'm Tom Bassarear, and today's meditation is mindfulness of emotions. We begin this meditation, as with all meditations, by taking some time to settle the mind, the body, and the heart. First, reminding ourselves of our intentions for meditating in the first place, including to slow down to the extent that we can and to be more attentive to what matters in our life. Beginning now by settling into a position that will support meditation and making the intention to observe what is happening right now with a mind that is caring, open, and interested. Your eyes can be open, looking slightly downward with a soft focus, or they can be closed, depending on your preference. And so now taking a few moments to check in with the body, adjusting any parts of your body that might be tense or uncomfortable. Now taking a few moments to check in with the heart energy. For example, acknowledging any parts of you that might be a bit sad or anxious or worried about what is currently happening in your life, and reassuring those parts that you are aware of them, and this meditation will be helpful for them too. And now bringing awareness to the fact that you're breathing right now, taking several slow, gentle, deep breaths, and observing the extent to which you feel yourself beginning to relax. And note that bringing mindfulness to breathing is not comfortable for all people. And if this is true for you, instead of focusing on breathing, you might bring a mindful attention to sounds, to an image, for example, a waterfall or a lake or a sunset, or you might repeat a mantra slowly. Any of those are fine ways to begin a meditation, just helping to settle down the whole system. If you are bringing mindful attention to the breath, remember that there are choices. You might focus on where you notice the breath most clearly, perhaps at the nostrils or the abdomen, the whole chest and torso, or the back of the throat. And you might focus on what your mind notices as you breathe in, pause, breathe out, pause, one breath at a time. And so some time now, a couple of minutes to just pay attention to your breath or any of the alternatives, and just allowing the body to slow down and settle to the extent that it's willing to slow down and settle. Whenever you notice that your mind has wandered, simply smile and then return to whatever your focus is. And now we're going to take some time to pay attention to emotions. And when we pay attention closely to our whole system, the mind and the heart, we often find that more than one emotion is present. Maybe pleasant ones like peacefulness or calmness or joy, contentment, as well as ones that are generally perceived as unpleasant or unwanted, like sadness, anger, anxiety, worry, fear, or shame. And so now that your mind has settled to the extent that it's willing to settle at this point, just checking inside to see what emotions are present right now. Some might be stronger, some might be more subtle, but just checking in. And as the poem "Get the Guest House" by Rumi says, can you greet each emotion as a guest, knowing that no is an acceptable response? And then noticing what happens with this kind and caring attitude. Observing whatever emotion is present with a sense of interest and curiosity. Allowing emotions to come and go without doing anything about them, simply observing. Sometimes when you're feeling an emotion, you might notice sensations or thoughts in your system. And so just noticing those sensations. For example, anger often has a sensation of tightness in the chest. Um, Shame often has an emotion of a feeling of a pit in the stomach. And so when sensations or thoughts arise along with an emotion, simply bringing that mindful attention to the sensations or thoughts that are arising. Noticing that emotions are like breaths. They arise, they last for some time, and then they fade. And noticing that some emotions are welcomed and some are pushed away. If an emotion is strong, some people find it helpful to think of the image of standing behind a waterfall. And when you're standing behind the waterfall, you can witness the water without getting pounded. And similarly with an emotion, just imagining you're standing behind the waterfall that is the emotion, and then just getting occasional splashes, but not getting pounded. And so emotions vary in intensity. Sometimes an emotion just surfaces briefly, like a cloud passing through the sky. You have this momentary feeling of sadness, and then it just goes away. And sometimes emotions are more persistent and they're stronger. Going back to the fishing metaphor, it's like a really strong tug. And when an emotion tugs strongly at you, and it really is hard to keep your attention on your breath or whatever your focus is, in that case, there are several options which can help you to be with the emotion instead of fighting it or trying to push it away. And so we're going to explore 6 ways to be with an emotion that is arising with a stronger tug. And remembering that at any time in this meditation or in your own meditations, if an emotion feels too strong, you have options. You might just open your eyes if they're closed, or you might return to your anchor, or you might stand up and walk around. And those are always options. And so the first option we'll consider when an emotion has a strong tug on it is to notice where you feel the emotion in your body. For example, you might feel strong sensations, including tightness or tension or other discomfort, or you might feel a difference in energy throughout your body. For example, sometimes if I'm feeling extremely restless, I can just almost feel like my blood just coursing through my whole body. And so you might try this, and I'll be quiet each time with each of the strategies for about a minute so that you can explore what this might be like. And so taking a minute now to, if you're feeling an emotion, to just feel where it is in your body. And if you're not feeling any emotions right now, you can simply note this strategy. And while the emotion is not strong, you can simply breathe or go to any of your other anchors. Another option that we have when we're feeling a strong emotion is called softening. And in this case, as you exhale, You bring the intention to relax on each exhale. Sometimes this helps the emotion to relax a bit, to soften, to become less intense. And a reminder that with these strategies, we're not trying to get rid of the emotion, but rather to hold it with care and tenderness. And so you might try this for the next minute, or simply breathe or stay with your anchor if a strong emotion is not happening. A, a third strategy is called soothing. And you can do this by placing one or both hands over your heart and just feel the gentle touch of the hand or the warmth of the palm. Or perhaps imagining warmth and kindness flowing through your hand into the whole body. And so a few moments to experiment with this if you'd like. Just soothing the emotion that is happening. A fourth way to be with emotions is called allowing. Can you let the emotion be? Can you make room for it? Can you let go of the need for it to go away and just allowing it to be here? Can you simply allow yourself to feel how you feel right now, perhaps breathing slowly, and more deeply as you feel how you feel right now? Whether it's sadness or irritation, just what does sadness, just allowing yourself, the first strategy is what sadness feels like. And so that can work with this one, feeling the sadness and just allowing it to be right now. And the last two strategies involve seeing this emotion as a part of yourself which is struggling, whether it's anger or sadness, that this is a part of you right now that is struggling. And so the first way in terms of seeing the emotion as a part of yourself, is to simply meet it with kindness. And so, for example, with the emotion, you might talk to that part using some of the loving kindness phrases. For example, may you be happy. May you be peaceful. May you be free from suffering. Or a simple phrase like, I wish you well. Along with this idea of meeting the emotion with kindness, you might choose comforting words to say to that part, words that you might say to a friend. For example, I'm so sorry you feel this way. May you be kind to yourself. Thich Nhat Hanh, a wonderful meditation teacher, suggested to us that we say, you poor thing, come here and sit with me. And so you might want to take a minute to just practice this notion of seeing this emotion as a part of yourself that's struggling and just meeting it with kindness, even thinking about using your own words. And the other strategy, when you're seeing this emotion as a part of yourself that's struggling, is to ask that part a question. For example, what's going on? Or you might say, what am I needing to notice or not noticing? Or what can I learn from this emotion? Or if this is a repetitive emotion, why do I tend to gravitate to these kinds of emotions? And if any of these questions feel possibly helpful, ask the question and see what happens. One time in my Monday night meditation group, I suggested this. And the next week, a person came back and said that she had a half-hour drive on the way home, and so she decided to try it out. And she'd had an incident at work that day, and she was angry with somebody, but she hadn't really expressed that anger. And so she said, so to this part that's angry, she said, what's going on? What am I needing to notice or not noticing? And then, as she said in the group, she said that anger part really let her have it. That part said, you need to pay attention to me more often. You let people walk all over you, and it's not helpful. You need to stand up for yourself. And she was really surprised because she didn't expect this to work. And then the next day she went and she just asked that colleague, she said, could we talk about what happened yesterday? And then it got resolved. It wasn't nearly as big as she'd made it up to be in her mind. So that's one example of where this strategy can be helpful to just say, what's going on? What am I needing to notice or not noticing? And so I'll just repeat the 6 strategies. And they're also can be downloaded on my website, which is tombassarear.com. So the first one is noticing where you feel the emotion in your body. The second one is just softening as you breathe out and exhale. A third one is called soothing, placing a hand over your heart or imagining that warmth and kindness flowing into your body. A fourth one is to just allow the emotion to be, to make room for it. A fifth strategy is to see the emotion as part of yourself, which is struggling, and meet it with a kindness. And the last is to ask that part a question. What's going on? What am I needing to notice or not noticing? And so for the last couple minutes of the meditation, you might continue to explore any of these strategies with an emotion that might be strong now, or you might choose to return to your anchor practice. And as I've said, this might be awareness of breath, the body, sounds, a mantra, or an image, whatever you find is most calming. And I'll ring the bell to end the meditation. And so just bringing your full mindful attention to the sound of the bell as long as you can hear it.